Hi there and welcome to episode 2 of the Knitter Next Door podcast. It is Thursday the 21st of June 2018 and you are joining me, Angela, in my home in Mansfield, which is fairly centrally located in England, in the UK. I live here with my husband Richard, my two sons, Ezra and Aiden. Aiden is coming up for 13 and Ezra will be 2 in September. We have 2 naughty Bengal cats called Lily and Teddy. We have a staffy called Layla or Bernard, depending on what day it is. Anyway, less about that. And so I would like to welcome back any returning viewers, if I have any. And warm welcome to anybody who is new. And there we go. Intro's done. You can find me on Instagram as @Angie B, B-E-E, _79. Or you can find me on Ravelry at Angie B 1979. I will put this on the screen for you. So, what's changed since last week? Well, you may or may not be able to tell, but I have finished my Shusui Shrug. Okay, so this is a pattern, in case you've been living under a rock, by Suzannes. It is two colour brioche. It's kind of a cross between a shawl and a cardigan. It's technically a shrug. I don't know. Anyway, I absolutely adore it. I had a little bit of a nightmare when it came to doing the sleeves. I did it as per the instructions in the pattern, which was basically under here, to pick up just the 3 stitches. And basically I couldn't get my arms down the sleeve. I could, but it was really tightly stretched. And I thought there ain't no blocking that's going to sort that out, I'm afraid. So I ripped that out. Now then, the other thing was, in the pattern, what Suzanne has you do is, well, it's in 2 colour brioche for all of these bits. And then just alternating colours in the garter stitch panels. When you get to the sleeves, she has you drop the darker colour or the lighter colour, depending on which you've been using as the prominent colour on the front, and then just continue the sleeves in the same brioche stitch, but just in a single colour. Now, I think it's probably because of the colours I've used. On Suzanne's version on the pattern, which I'll try and stick a picture in. If nothing appears, that's because I didn't figure out how to do it, but yeah, I'll try. I'll make the hand gesture like it's something I can actually do and just hope for the best. But if not, just go look it up, because I can put written details and you can just use that, and I'll stick a clicky link thing in the look at me down bar. So anyway, what I was saying was, on Suzanne's version of it, her colours here are very similar to each other, so much so that it provides kind of like a gradient effect, rather than this sort of stark white lines, dark background like I've got on mine. So with hers, when it gets to the sleeve, it just sort of all naturally graduates down into this beautifully sort of gradiented sleeve finish. With mine, it looked like I'd run out of one of the colours and just decided to sort of stick these kind of white bits on the end. It looked, honestly, it looked really rubbish. So yeah, that's me kind of just being optimistic. I thought as I did it, this isn't going to look right. I got on with it anyway. I did it, and I did long sleeves as well. I did them right the way down, and I'm wearing these like tight white stuck on sleeves after putting in so much work on this thing, and I'm looking at my husband going, probably gonna have to take these out, aren't I? And he's like, yes you are, because he knows me very well. I am a perfectionist to my detriment, really. It takes me like 20 million times longer to do anything than it should, because I'm just nitpicky. It's got to be right. So anyway, I ripped it out. Of course I ripped it out. And I picked up instead of 3 stitches, I picked up 7, so I gave myself an extra 4 stitches under the arm there, so that I could get my arms in it. And yes, it's worked. And what I did instead of dropping one of the colours was I just carried on in the 2-colour brioche, which in the round is a little bit tricky, I guess. It's not. You just kind of need to keep aware of where you're leaving your yarns. You need to leave one always on the outside and the other one kind of always on the inside. And there's, as you get round the round and back to the beginning, you are doing what looks like kind of the same stitch twice. So you'll have like 2 yarn overs together or 2 bricks together. If you don't know brioche, you have no idea what I'm talking about right now. But again, when you come to do brioche, because everybody should try some brioche because it's awesome once you get it. And this is only my 2nd brioche project. Prior to that, I just did a little swatch. But anyway, when you come to do it in the round, you'll have these little sections as you come round to the very beginning of the round again, where it feels like you're going a bit wrong because you're having to put a yarn over next to a yarn over and a brioche knit next to a brioche knit on the way round. But other than that, it's okay. And once you get used to that and you're looking for that, actually, if you dropped your marker, you would know exactly where you were, because it could be the only reason why you would have these 2 things next to each other. So anyway, it's kind of tricky, it's kind of not. I got on with it. I did it in 2 colours. I'm really, really pleased with it. I'm actually wearing it inside out. It's technically completely reversible. This is, however, the wrong side of the fabric. If I turn round, you'll see the back. Down the very spine, the stitches aren't actually as pronounced. Now, if I turn it the right way around, you will look at the same bit here and see that that is really crisp. Okay, I think it's equally beautiful on both sides. Something about me prefers the darker side. My mum, she prefers the lighter side, but there we go. I can mix and match, and I can wear it whichever way around I'm feeling like on any given day. I think it's absolutely gorgeous whichever way, and it's it's really, really nice to be able to have different options. I absolutely love this seam that kind of comes down, made with these gigantic double yarn overs. They are gorgeous. So yeah, there's my sleeves, look. So it's not just from there white, it is matching all the rest of it. So it looks, I think, for me, far more in keeping with the rest of it. As I say, if I'd have had 2 more similar yarns, I think it would have looked good. It just, yeah, it looked like I'd run out. Anyway, yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. Let me stand up and give you a sort of slightly better look at it. I finished it off, the I-cord edge in here, with some townhouse yarn that I've been using for another project, which I've not actually told you about yet. And this is the Fade Street 4-ply, so it's got a little bit of silk in there, and merino, hand-dyed. It's in the colourway Cupcake. This is from Cosmic Strings, knit Cosmic Strings on Etsy, just Cosmic Strings everywhere else. Last episode I was getting a little bit mixed up between those 2, but I think it is Cosmic Strings, and they just kind of call themselves Knit Cosmic Strings in certain circles to differentiate between the knitting and the normal Cosmic Strings. Look at that, look at that. Isn't it amazing? They're fab. Did I show you the back? I don't know whether I did. Oh, whether I did. La 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 la. Look at my bum. No, don't look at my bum. Thank you very much. Right, anyway, so that's enough of that. I absolutely adore it. It was a fantastic pattern to follow. Easy easy to do the little modification that I did. What I do like about it is that Suzanne just kind of leaves it open. She's like, you don't need to stick sleeves on. If you don't want to, you can just cast off straight away. Or if you want to do sleeves, this is how you do a long sleeve, or you can stop it anywhere along the way. As I say, for me, it was too tight picking up 3 stitches, which is like 1, 2, 3. So I picked up 4, 5, 6, 7 and did a bit under the arm, just to give me more room for my clearly giant hoofing turkey leg arms, bingo wing things. I don't know, I didn't think they were that big, but anyway, I couldn't fit them in without doing it, so there we go. Okay, so my little boy Ezra has decided to join us, and here he is. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good boy. Okay, anyway, so I was talking about the Shusui, and yeah, it's knit in the cosmic strings. It's their merino singles in the colourways Fable, which is the darker colour, and Marshmallow, which is the lighter colour. And yeah, if you haven't checked out Cosmic Strings already, I highly recommend that you do so, because their yarns are absolutely gorgeous. Good. What have you got? Esho hooks. Hook. Crochet hooks. Okay. Cool. Good. Ezra. No. Stop it. Play with some toys, huh? My word is the Lord. Toys. What's this? What are these? What's inside? Esho hooks. Crochet hooks. Okay, cool. So, this is a little distracting. We'll come back to this in a little while, I think. Say bye-bye, Ezra.
Bye-bye, Ezra.
Bye-bye, Ezra. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good boy. Okay, so what's on my needles at the moment? This goes to show yet again how easily led I am. From watching the Yarngasm podcast and also the Squirrel Pie Productions podcasts. So Kristen and Tommy, they've both been stalking essentially Hohi Locatelli's Instagram to figure out when the Like a Cloud cardigan pattern was coming out. It was basically something that Hohi designed for the retreat in Bath, which was for Helen Stewart. Oh God, what's it called? I can't just remember. I'll put it here. Anyway, so this was a pattern that was specifically designed for that retreat. Curious Handmade, that's the one. And yeah, so both Kristen and Tommy had seen this pattern and gone, oh my God, it's amazing. Drop shoulder, beautiful cardigan. I don't know whether you've seen it or not, but I saw it and also fell in love with it. Predictably, ridiculously easily led. Hey ho. Cut to watching Kristen make this cardigan after it had been released, and she's using her own yarns. She's using Ghost Lace and Infinite Lace, which is the Infinite Lace is Blue Faced Leicester 100%, and the Ghost Lace is like a Mohair silk blend, and yeah, she dyed them up in a colourway called Weep, inspired by Doctor Who, the Weeping Angels. It's this gorgeous sort of tonal, darkish grey, just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, so I'm looking at that thinking, oh, that's amazing, I'd love to knit that. However, as we all know, or those of you who have seen or tried to purchase yarn from Kristen's shop, it sells out insanely quickly. So I thought there is absolutely no chance I'm going to be able to make that cardi in that yarn, which is what ultimately I would like to do. We went to the Lake District to see my husband's mum, and when we were in the car on the way back, I was just sort of browsing through Instagram, and Kristen put a post up to say there's still some of this yarn left in my shop if anyone's interested. And I was like, Yes, I'm interested. I'm absolutely interested. Oh my God, is there going to be a sweater quantities left? Okay, so I go straight to the shop, I have a look, and not only is there a sweater quantity of the wheat, there is also a sweater quantity of birthday cake. So accidentally, they fell into my shopping cart and were purchased. And so it's kind of a stash enhancement, but it's also a new cast on. I accidentally got a bag to keep it all in as well. So anyway, I really, really quickly want to just show you that. So this is the Mohair, and this is the blue face Leicester. Absolutely beautiful. So this is in birthday cake. I'll show you birthday cake. And this is what it looks like caked up. Okay, so there is your Mohair. It is so soft. And here is the blue face Leicester. Okay, this one runs at, I think it's somewhere 800 metres or so in 100 grams. So you don't need many skeins to make the cardi if you're my size anyway. That sounded really crap. This one runs at about 800 metres or so to a skein. So I need 2 skeins of that to make the pattern. And this one I needed 3. These are 50 grams rather than 100. Now the bit I was worried about was whether or not I would be allergic to this stuff. Now in the past, good old Mohair and what's the other one? Angora rabbits and stuff. It's made me itch. The fibres have kind of got in my eyes, not from stuff I've ever tried to knit, but from jumpers that I've bought and liked and wanted, and then I've sort of worn them and I've been immediately itching and fibres up my nose and that sort of thing, and in my eyes. So I was a little bit dubious, but then I thought, you know what, there's been other people on social media who have been working with this stuff recently, who've sort of remarked that they've had allergy problems in the past and that they aren't having any reaction to this. So I took a chance, and you know what, I'm absolutely fine. No hives, no itching, no crying, nothing up my nose. So yeah, it's brilliant. And you know what, it is soft. It gets Richie B's Soft as Baby Kitten Farts Award yet again. Yay. So there we go. Well done. And so here is my cast on. So this is yet again, I'll say it, the Like a Cloud pattern by Locatelli. I think this was something she released last month, certainly no sooner than that. And no earlier than that, shall we say. And here's where I've got to. Da, da, da. It's lovely. It's so soft. Seems to be all I ever say, but it is really, really, really beautiful. And look at the pattern on there. It is so simple and yet so effective. And even though it's sort of fairly fuzzy and there's this sort of beautiful halo, it doesn't take anything away from the stitch definition at all. You can see the pattern, sort of really subtle pattern, really, really clearly on there. The colour is absolutely gorgeous. The construction is insanely clever. It's genius, in fact. And what I'll do is I'll just show you this. I'll pop this on. If I can do this without ripping it all off the needles and I don't know, setting fire to the house or something in the meantime. Here we go. So that's where I've got to. I'll just go up a little bit so you can see. So here we are. Here's the neckline. Here's my little dropped shoulder. And yeah, that's where I'm at. So I've joined now underneath both of the arms, and so now we're just sort of 200 odd stitches backwards and forwards, just keep repeating the pattern. I've got to keep going for about a foot or so now before the next lot of instructions, but it's so lovely, so nice to knit with, such beautiful stitch definition. The pattern, it's wonderful, it really is. I made a sort of a slight mistake here. I think there's been a revision published to the pattern just in terms of making it clear what pattern row to start on when you join But yeah, no biggie at all. So yeah, that's all been cleared up and the pattern's been revised and everything's all good to go. So yeah, that's that. Oh, hello, I'm losing all the stuff on the floor. So yeah, very pleased with this. Goodness knows how much longer I'm going to be knitting it for, though. I think I've kind of certainly reached the long haul stretch now, but I really don't mind. I'm really enjoying it. It's pretty much flying off the needles at this point. I started this on Saturday, just gone, and we are on Thursday now. So there we go. That's that. So really, with finishing this one and the work that I've put in on my Like a Cloud, that pretty much covers all of the knitting that I've done in the last sort of fortnight since I last saw you, or at least since I last recorded. There is one more cast on. Let me just dig it out. It's somewhere here, living amongst my 80 billion project bags. Here it is. Now I'm just going to have to get the pattern out to remind myself of what it is. It is the Sabrina Junk Top. Okay, so this is by Born and Raised Knits, the Altered Stitch. And okay, basically this is where I've got to. I guess it's kind of hardly worth showing it as a whip really, but it's just something else that I have worked on in that time since I last recorded. Okay, so that's where I've got to. The yarn I'm using was from an indie dyer that I found on Etsy called Make a Me, and it's in a colourway called Maleficent. Now it is held double. Okay, so it's a fingering weight, a 4-ply weight if you're English, and yeah, running to somewhere around about the, I don't know, 400 metres in 100 grams. So yeah, I'm holding that double. And what I'm going to do is to mix it up with this one, which is called Cherry Blossom and is by, now then, I'm going to have to do a little edity thing. It is by You Mama. You Mama. And yeah, it's in the colourway Apple Blossom. Both of these are on a sparkle sock. I think you can probably see the sparkles in this one, particularly in the light that I'm in at the moment. I'm in the evening now. It was this afternoon when I first started recording, but then my little boy woke up. So yeah, this one it's also sparkly. So we're the 75-25 of merino, nylon, and then stellina, and these are both on a silver stellina. This one, the colours not too bad there. Greens and pinks and these little flecks of sort of cherry colour in there and oranges and stuff, and yeah, I thought that will mix nicely. What we do is you start holding this one double, and then you sort of marl this one with this one, and then you finish off with just that one. And yeah, I just went stash diving and thought, risk it, see what happens. So that's that one. So yeah, that's a really piddly little bit that I've done so far, as you can see. So yeah, more on that another time. So what else have I got on the go? Okay, so from watching Skeins Knits back end of last year, I became aware of the Selby Mitten Club that she was running. I'd never ever tried colourwork stranded knitting in the past. I'd never tried sort of knitting continental either, and I got to try both of those things in this little project. I'll just show you the mittens just so that you know what I'm talking about. I'm not really going to go into any detail because I think probably the internet is completely over these. It's just safe to say I'll just pop the details down. If you want to look into that, you can hop over to my Ravelry page and sort of all the links through to Ellie's patterns from there. But also, whilst in that vein, from watching the Skeins podcasts, I got to know about a couple of different things. and one of them was the Maya's Mameluka, which essentially is knitted knickers. So I thought, knitted knickers, why? And then I thought, why not? So I cast them on, and here they are. Now then, this little bit here is my own design. Basically, I just kind of looked for different little stranded motifs, looked at what the stitch count was from here to here for me, and then sort of went nuts with some graph paper. That didn't work too well, so then I got a spreadsheet out and sort of squished it to make it sort of roughly approximate knitting stitches, and yeah, went nuts and came up with this. Now then, the only issue that I've had, and it's something that I do believe that can be cured, there is a technique out there to sort this out, but is that I wanted to also put a pattern on the back. And the only way really of getting from there to there was by stranding over the sides, which has come out a little bit dodgy. It's not enough to bother me. Okay, it's fine. It looks okay, and they fit perfectly well. Yeah, I was watching a sockmatician podcast where he was talking about a technique that he's devised, which essentially means that you can do a piece of colour work in an isolated area, but you can run it stranded. So you can strand from one side to the other, but your yarn doesn't get stranded there. It's not left on its own here, and you can then sort of carry on round and keep going and keep going with your design. God knows how he does it. He is running classes, and I would love to go to one and find out, but the ones that I've seen so far are in San Francisco, and they're not at a point in time when I'm going to be in San Francisco later on this year, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm going to miss him there. However, I'm sure it's something that sort of will come into the public domain at some point. So yeah, if I was to ever do these again, I would not need to strand right the way around. I would be able to just kind of do this as a stranded piece using his technique called strantarsia. That's how they are so far. I'm not going to try these on for you, strangely enough. I think what I'll do is I'll wait till I've actually finished and maybe get some tights on or something like that and then show you. Because yeah, I don't really want to sort of, you know, get an X-rated video for this. So this is as far as we're going to go for now. One thing that I did on here that I'd never done before, just kind of following in the tradition of things Angela's never done before, was to graft the front to the back using Kitchener stitch in a really, really inappropriate place to show to the camera. Woohoo! There you go. So yeah, there is a video online that I encountered from somebody that I follow on Instagram called the Unapologetic Knitter, and she put a video out about doing grafting and the Kitchener stitch, which I watched and which actually made it clearer and more easy to follow than any other video that I've seen on the topic in the past. Okay, that's nothing against any of the other videos that are out there, it's just the ones that I'd seen I couldn't really follow along with. Hers, just something about the way that she actually explains it, it made more sense to me, and I was able to follow along and actually do it really, really successfully. I want to just kind of show to the camera without doing my PG-13 bit again, if I can. It was here. That's where the join is. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's about focused. Yeah, you can't, I don't think, particularly tell that that's a join. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Really, really happy. And of course, Kitchener will come in really handy for closing toes on socks and things like that, which is something, again, that I don't particularly do and haven't particularly done. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so that's that. So Maya's Marmaluka is the pattern. I'm using a Rico yarn. It's just a superwash wool. I'll put it in the description as to exactly what it is for anyone that's interested. Something I bought at my local yarn store. I do have a zwag on the needles, and it's absolutely gorgeous, but I think I'll leave that for another episode because I think otherwise this is going to run on a bit long. But yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you that. Teaser. What else have I done? You know what? I've got another little project on the needles that I can sort of show you. This is again what all the cool kids are knitting. So predictably I've joined in, but it's a pattern by Cameo called the Coziest Memory Blanket, and I'm sure everybody will know exactly what this one is. Basically it's mitered squares done in for the pattern. It's a 4-ply fingering weight yarn, so basically any scraps can be used up and turned into these little mitered squares and then joined together. So really, in terms of all the different projects that I've had going on recently, this is perfect for using up my little odds and sods. So I have made 3 little squares so far. There's my skein queen, my beautiful neon watermelon colour that I used in my brioche scarf that I showed you last time. Oh, and it's my little teddy bear.
She's wearing the scarf.
Okay, so that's the little teeny tiny scarf that I was talking about last time. Anyway, that's hers. I was such a saddo. Couldn't waste that little thing, so I had to go to her. No, there we go. So, that's square 1. Get the right way around. That's square 1. This is square 2. So anyone that saw last week and actually saw it through might have seen my little beaded shawly thing that I did, a Julie Harris watercolours and lace pattern. So this is the Malabrigo yarn in the colourway Persia, I believe it is, that I use for that. And this one is a Debbie Bliss Botanicals range. I can't remember what the colourway is. I can soon insert that, but yeah, that's that one. Little stitch marker is my own design, and that's just my attempt at the beading. There, I don't know if you can see it. He's wearing a little brioche shawl. I decided to make him wear a brioche shawl, but anyway, that's just keeping my centre for me. And this is another one that I've made using a brilliant tutorial on YouTube. It's just like a little present. There's no weight in it. It looks like it would be really heavy, but you can see it's not distorting the fabric at all. There's barely any weight in it because it's all just little tiny beads all sewn together. So that's my stitch markers. There we go. So yeah, Coziest Memory Blanket by Cameo, completely free pattern. You can get to it on Ravelry. I'll put a link down below, and yeah, that's where I've got to so far, but I've got so many scraps that can start and go into this, so it's just going to really slowly grow into something hopefully quite beautiful. So that's that, and I've got that in a little project bag that I made. Ta-da! Anyway, my own pattern for that one, little sock sack. So what else have I been up to then? Anyone that actually got far enough through last time's video will have seen me make reference to the fact that I was going to a yarn dyeing class the following day. So this was something down in Chipping Norton, which is kind of near Oxford, in a good sort of 2.5 hours drive south from where I live in England. And it was at a shop called the Fiberworks. Beautiful little place, just kind of down these little steps, almost like you're going down to Diagon Alley or whatever. Really sort of oldie-worldy building. And yeah, so there was a course in there being run by a lady called Hannah Mackie. She has a company on Etsy called Hey J Yarns, and it was a company that I bought a hand-dyed skein from in the past. So when I saw on Instagram that she was running these classes, I thought, you know what, that looks really interesting. And yes, it was extremely interesting. It was really quite a basic course. It was only 3 hours that we had, and so she was really focused on just giving us a few basic techniques on how to actually get colour onto the yarn. For the sake of time constraints, she was using a microwave to actually set the dye. And yeah, we were able to get some spectacular results. Really, the way that she set it up was she just showed us a few really basic techniques for actually, you know, putting the colours on, different ways of sort of merging them together, different ways of mixing the dye stock from the dye powders that she particularly uses. And yeah, it was a case of, here you go, here's all my stuff, here's 4 skeins of yarn, go nuts, do whatever you want. I have to say I found that a little bit intimidating, but Hannah was great. You know, she was on hand there to sort of give you advice, give you inspiration. She brought a load of her own yarns along with sort of different examples of different types of colourways and different ways of putting the colours on. The microwaving and wrapping it up in cling film is a technique that she does use quite a lot in her business. And yeah, so that's what we did. They were dyes by a company called Landscape. I believe they're an Australian company. It's acid dye basically. So the technique was, you know, to soak the yarn first of all in a warm bath of mildly acidic water, been made acidic with vinegar, and then basically sort of you squeezed all as much water out of the yarn as you could, put it on some cling film or saran wrap, and then yeah, just kind of painted the dye on where you wanted it. Maybe if you wanted a few speckles, just kind of chucking little bits of dye at it and that kind of thing, just trying different things. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by what I managed to come up with. I thought, actually, I didn't go in there with any idea of what colourways I might do or anything at all. I just sort of went, I think we'll do this then. And this was the first one I came up with, which I'm dead pleased with. Dead pleased. And the colours actually are coming out really well on the screen. Yeah, I don't think anyone had ever guessed that I like pink. No. So that was one. We got 4 skeins, and they're 400 gram skeins. So that was the first one. I think the next one I tried, it was this one. So I went for more of a minty green. Played with putting a little bit of grey in there as well on this one, which I thought kind of came out quite nicely. That's that one. I then thought, oh, I've got too much pink, and went with green and the yellow. So I really liked that. And I thought, actually, you know what? Those two will play nicely together. I think they all play nicely together, actually. And then finally, I did this one, which, I don't know, they all remind me. It's basically like I dyed 80s sweets. I dyed my childhood sugar obsession there. So I dyed childhood diabetes there. There we go. That's what we could call the fade set if it was one. No? Is that inappropriate? I don't know. Anyway, there we go. So that was that. That's the adventures of Angela doing hand dyeing. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to try some different things and maybe start dyeing my own yarn, like for myself and maybe then for other people and stuff. It's a longer term goal, but I think it's something I would really like to do. So along those lines, a little bit more stash that I've acquired is some undyed yarn, just not cheap, but not expensive stuff. I used basically some of my birthday vouchers and bought some Cascade 220 fingering, which is 100% wool. All it needed to be was a protein fibre, something reasonable. It's quite nice, this. Certainly not cheap, but it's not like, you know, high-end stuff. Okay, so I bought this, and I bought myself a starter pack of dyes. Now this one is the Jacquard dyes, fairly small tubs, and it came with some citric acid as well, which essentially does the same job as the vinegar but doesn't leave any smell. So yeah, just have to be careful about using a mask and stuff like that, and wearing gloves and things. My plan is to steam my packets. I don't own a microwave. I don't know, there's something in me that just can't come to terms with radiating my food with like microwaves before I eat it. It sounds really, really stupid, and yeah, maybe I should be wearing a foil hat or something like that, but I don't own a microwave. I've not had one for about 6 years now, and I've not missed it. So I think, yeah, I'm not about to go out and buy one to start microwaving yarn. However, it can be steamed, it can be put in the oven, it can be all sorts of different ways of applying the heat to the yarn. So my plan was, I've got a baby bottle steamer sitting around in the loft doing nothing at all, and I don't plan on having any more babies, and I don't really know what to do with it, and it's not gone to the charity shop yet, which is good. So I'm going to steam my yarn using my electric steamer and see if that works. I've got plenty to have a little practice with anyway. So yeah, I'm going to use the hand painting technique, wrapping it up in cling film in little jelly rolls, and then steaming it in a hand steamer, and we'll see. What's the worst that can happen? Not a lot, really. Just to explain the lighting situation in here, it's now kind of getting a little bit darker. It's 9:05 at night now. I've been kind of recording on and off throughout the day since about 2 o'clock this afternoon, so hence the changing lighting throughout the course of this video. So I just thought I would explain that. So what have I got coming up? Let's think. So I'm going to practice with my yarn dyeing. I'm going to have a little go at that. I'm going to carry on with my Locatelli cardigan. Obviously I'm going to keep going with my this one, Junk Yarns. I really do need to finish my Laura Nelkin N Club cowl. This is something I showed last time, and it's the caramelised cowl. And yeah, I haven't got any further, so basically that still looks exactly like that. I didn't see before. Basically I've still just got to knit a little panel on the edge. I think with this one I've lost my mojo a little bit, just because it's not really the weather to wear a cowl, and so there's no real desperate hurry for this thing to be finished as far as I'm concerned. And whilst I absolutely love it and it is gorgeous, other things have just been kind of calling to me a little bit more loudly, shall we say. So hopefully next couple of weeks I think I'll pick this one back up and just do justice to it by finishing it off. There we go, that's that one. That's also being kept in a little project bag that I've made. I made reference to the fact that I have one of, if not the world's most amazing husband. The most amazing, let's face it, the most amazing husband that there is. I have to say that because he's sat right there, and he will also watch this. But he is, he's amazing, he's awesome. Richie B, please could you pass me my little bag over there?
I can. Look, I wear my headphones like I'm a DJ. This little bag.
That little bag, that's the exact one. Thank you very much indeed. I think you killed my camera with your singing. It all stopped. So anyway, don't ever do that again, okay?
It's good singing.
Good. Glad we got that straight. So last time I did mention my husband had bought me a subscription to the West Knits Yarn Along, and I was sort of getting quite excited because I'd had an email to say that the package had been dispatched. Well, again, the very next day did my parcel turn up, and oh, 3 of the most beautiful skeins of yarn you have ever seen. I really daren't pronounce the name of the company that dyes it. I will put it on the screen, and to me it looks really rude, and I don't know how else to say it other than how it looks. So I'm not going to go there, but yeah, famous dyeing company. And the pattern that it goes along with is called the Meshy Twist. Now, it's a paid for pattern that people that weren't in the Yarn Along will be able to get once the Yarn Along is over. I'm not sure exactly when that will be released, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful up there, and it's been all over social media. Stephen West isn't shy about publicising his stuff, strangely enough. Absolutely gorgeous, absolutely amazing. Okay, so here's the 3 skeins. We have this beautiful red little flecks of blue. I've wound these. What I'll try to do is insert a picture of what these looked like when they were actually in the skein form, because they were just works of art, absolute works of art. I've caked them up so that I can get on with casting on this beautiful project. That's the next one, and the final one looks like this. Oh, this one looked like some sort of picture of a beach from space on National Geographic or something when it was a skein. It was absolutely just visually astounding. Okay, the colours are called Striker Pose, I think that's the red one, Crushing It, and Beach Babe. It's 100% superwash merino, runs at 366 metres or 400 yards to the 100 gram skein, and yeah, made in the Netherlands, and that's the name of the company. I can't say that. I'm not going to try. If anyone knows how to say that, please can they let me know? So yeah, that's my Westnitz yarn along. Came with a little one of those, which is really, really cute. Little needle size measurer from Catrinkles. It came in a little tote bag to keep it all in. And the pattern was included and the yarn was included, and that all got released on the 10th of June. And yeah, so that's going to be the next one, I think, that I will be casting on when I get a moment. Then there'll be another pattern released next month, and then another one in August as well, and each time they send the yarn and they send the patterns. And yeah, good old Richie B bought me that subscription for a birthday present because he is amazing. So that's that. Anyway, this has been lots and lots of fun. If anyone is still here, thank you very, very much indeed for bearing with me till the end, the very bitter end. And yeah, I will see you again next time. So I'm going to try and stick to the schedule of recording every. I just had to cut a little bit out because Google decided to get involved and start chatting to you in the background. So that was good, or not, as the case may be. But there we go. That's pretty much everything I've got to say for this time. Thank you very much, and I will see you again in roughly 2 weeks' time. Bye now.